High in the mountains of China, I've discovered villages so hidden that even locals whisper about them. Remote, untouched, and nearly forgotten, they exist far beyond the reach of modern life. Before I take you deeper, if you love exploring the forbidden and the forgotten, make sure you subscribe now. You'll never miss the hidden worlds I reveal in these journeys. I've walked along stone pathways, twisting through misty forests, past wooden homes clinging to cliffs. Here, time moves differently, as though the outside world has been shut away for centuries. The villagers tell stories of curses and ancient wisdom. These legends aren't found in books. They're whispered by elders, guarded by rituals, and preserved in voices that rarely reach outsiders. For most travelers, these places are impossible to find. But the deeper I explore, the more I uncover another side of China, one that feels unreal, almost otherworldly. What you're about to see isn't just travel. It's a journey into places forgotten by time, hidden from the world. And today, I'll take you inside them. When I first arrived in Danba County, Sichuan, I never expected to find a place like this. Nestled in the mountains, Gajju Tibetan village feels like it belongs to another world. The village stretches across rolling hills, with whitewashed stone houses topped by watchtowers that rise like sentinels. Their windows are painted with deep reds and blacks, colors said to protect against evil spirits. Walking through the narrow paths, I noticed how the air felt lighter, almost sacred. Each house is decorated with symbols of Tibetan Buddhism, reminding me that life here follows a rhythm untouched by time. The locals welcomed me with quiet smiles. Some still wear traditional Tibetan robes, bright against the backdrop of green valleys. They spoke softly, their words carrying centuries of culture and memory. I learned that families here still practice rituals passed down for generations, lighting butter lamps at shrines, carving prayer stones, and telling stories of ancestors who once defended these mountains. Few travelers make it this far, but standing here, surrounded by faith, tradition, and silence, I understood why Gajju Tibetan village is called one of the most beautiful hidden villages in China. Stepping into Lijiang felt like walking through a doorway in time. Cobbled streets twist between wooden homes, their roofs tiled in dark gray, while canals of clear water flow quietly beneath stone bridges. Before long, I realized Lijiang is more than just beauty. This old town is a living museum, where the Naxi people still preserve traditions that have survived for hundreds of years. As I wandered, I heard faint music from the Naxi orchestra. Their instruments, passed down for centuries, play melodies that once echoed in imperial courts. The sound is haunting, like voices from another age. Every turn revealed something hidden. Lanterns swaying above tea houses, incense rising from quiet courtyards, and shopkeepers carving wooden charms said to bring protection, luck, and blessings to travelers. At night, the old town transformed. The canals reflected glowing lanterns, and narrow alleys filled with whispers of stories, of traders on the ancient Tea Horse Road, and of lovers who never returned. Lijiang's beauty hides a resilience. This city has survived earthquakes, wars, and empires. Yet today, it feels untouched, preserved not as ruins, but as a living world that refuses to fade. When I reached Jujing ancient village, it felt unlike any other place I had seen in China. From above, the village forms a perfect circle, a symbol of balance and eternity. Walking through its narrow alleys, I realized this design wasn't random. The village was built following the principles of the Bagua, the ancient Taoist diagram said, to reflect harmony between heaven and earth. The homes here are centuries old, their whitewashed walls cracked with time, their black-tiled roofs curving like waves. Every doorway and courtyard seemed to hold a secret, waiting quietly in the shadows. Elders told me that the village was designed to protect its people, spiritually and physically. The circular structure shields against evil spirits, but also against outsiders who once threatened its peace. Inside the courtyards, I found stone wells still in use, altars where incense burns daily, and ancestral halls filled with wooden tablets, each one carrying the memory of generations long gone. Most travelers have never heard of Jujing, but here, history and myth are so tightly woven that it feels less like a village and more like a gateway into China's hidden, spiritual past. When I first arrived in Fenghuang, it didn't feel real. Wooden stilt houses rise directly above the river, their reflections shimmering under bridges that seem older than memory itself. Crossing the stone steps laid across the water, I felt the town's heartbeat. Lanterns swayed gently overhead, their glow falling on narrow alleys where echoes of ancient traders still seemed to linger. The town was once home to the Miao and Tujia peoples. Their traditions remain etched in every detail, from carved wooden balconies to embroidered garments sold in hidden corners of the market. At night, Fenghuang transforms. The Tuojiang River glows with lantern light. Music drifts from old taverns, and the stilt houses seem to lean closer, whispering secrets to the water below. I learned that Fenghuang was once considered a frontier town, a place of resistance, legend, and survival. Its name means phoenix, symbolizing rebirth, and the village itself feels like it has risen from the past. Fenghuang is not just a village, it's a place where history, myth, and beauty intertwine. A living reminder that some worlds are never meant to fully reveal their mysteries. Arriving in Wuzhen felt like stepping into a painting. Canals cut quietly through the town, their waters reflecting arched stone bridges, and wooden houses leaning as if time itself had pushed them closer. As I walked along the cobbled lanes, I noticed lanterns swaying above doorways, their red light shimmering in the water. The air smelled of river mist and burning incense. Boatmen guided wooden gondolas through the narrow waterways, their poles tapping softly against stone walls. Watching them, I felt as though life here flows at the same pace as the river itself. Inside tea houses, old men sipped slowly from porcelain cups, while storytellers recited tales of dynasties long gone. Their voices echoed against wooden beams, darkened by centuries of smoke. At night, Wuzhen transformed. The canals glowed with lantern light, bridges turned to silhouettes, and the water carried whispers of lovers, merchants, and wanderers who once crossed this ancient town. For me, Wuzhen wasn't just a place to see. It was a world to drift through, a reminder that even in stillness, entire stories continue to flow. When I reached Wuyuan, it felt like stepping into a dream. Villages of white-walled houses with dark tiled roofs sat quietly between rivers, mountains, and fields of endless yellow blossoms. In spring, the rapeseed flowers stretch for miles, glowing like gold under the misty air. From above, the villages look like tiny islands floating on a golden sea. I wandered through narrow stone alleys, where moss covered the walls and carved wooden doors opened into quiet courtyards. Every corner carried the scent of smoke, tea, and the past. Locals told me that Wuyuan's villages have stood here for nearly 1,000 years. Many were built during the Ming and Qing dynasties, their halls still honoring ancestors with daily offerings. What struck me most was the silence. Only the sound of rivers flowing beneath arched bridges or the distant bells from a mountain temple disturbed the stillness of this hidden world. Wuyuan isn't just a single village. It's a collection of forgotten worlds, each one holding stories of scholars, merchants, and farmers who left behind a beauty that refuses to fade. When I first walked through the gates of Pingyao, I felt like I had entered another century. Massive stone walls surrounded the town, keeping its secrets hidden from the outside world. Inside, narrow streets wound between grey brick houses, their doors painted with faded symbols for luck and protection. Red lanterns swayed above me, casting shadows that stretched long against the cobblestones. Pingyao once thrived as China's financial capital. Ancient banks still stand here, their halls filled with wooden counters and iron locks, reminders of a time when silver passed through every hand in the city. But beyond the history, Pingyao feels haunted. At dusk, the alleys grow silent, broken only by the creak of wooden shutters or the footsteps of someone you never quite see. From the top of the city wall, I looked down at the maze of rooftops glowing beneath lantern light. It was a vision of the past, untouched, unbroken, and impossibly alive. Pingyao is more than a preserved town, it's a living ghost. A place where the past never left, and where every shadow feels like it belongs to another time. Arriving in Zhenyuan felt like uncovering a secret folded between mountains. The town rests beside the Wuyuan River, its homes pressed against cliffs, its bridges arching like gateways into another time. From above, I realized Zhenyuan is no ordinary town. Its layout forms the ancient Taoist Bagua, the 8 trigrams said to represent the balance of heaven, earth, and humanity. Walking along the riverside, I passed temples carved into the cliffs. Incense drifted from their doorways, curling through the air like unseen threads that tied the town to a more spiritual world. At night, the reflection of lanterns danced across the river, the sound of flutes carried from hidden courtyards, and the entire town seemed alive with whispers from forgotten dynasties. The locals told me Zhenyuan has stood for more than 2,000 years. Once a military stronghold, it later became a crossroads where cultures, faiths, and secrets flowed together like the river itself. I climbed to Qinglong Cave Temple, high above the town. From there, Zhenyuan looked eternal, a labyrinth of bridges, alleys, and shadows, as if designed to keep its mysteries safe. The first glimpse of Furong stunned me, a town clinging to the cliffs, its wooden stilt houses suspended over rushing water, while a roaring waterfall split the ancient settlement in two. Standing on the bridge, I felt the spray of mist rise from the falls. Lanterns swayed above me, their soft glow flickering against the crashing power of nature beneath. This was once a quiet Tujia village, hidden away in the hills of western Hunan. But today, it feels like a secret stage where mountains, rivers, and history all perform together. The sound of drums echoed from deep within. The Tujia people still keep their dances alive here, moving with the rhythm of ancestors who carved life from these steep, relentless cliffs. Walking the narrow alleys, I saw shops carved into timber homes, their balconies leaning over the river. Every creak of the wood seemed to carry the memory of centuries. Furong is more than a village by a waterfall. It's a place where earth and water collide, where culture clings to cliffs, and where time itself seems to pause midstream. Arriving in Xidi felt like stepping through a gate in time. Stone arches rose above me, marking the entrance to a village that had endured since the Ming Dynasty. The streets wound in quiet curves, narrow and paved with worn grey stone. Every turn revealed whitewashed walls and black-tiled roofs, their reflections shimmering in hidden ponds and trickling canals. I paused at a courtyard house, its wooden latticework carved with astonishing detail. Here, families once measured wealth not by gold, but by artistry, passing down beauty as their greatest inheritance. The silence was profound. Only the soft creak of wooden doors opening, or the faint chatter of villagers carrying baskets, broke the stillness of Xidi's labyrinth. Above, the mountains stood guard, mist rolling down their shoulders like a cloak. The village seemed tucked safely in their arms, hidden from the rush of the modern world. Xidi is not a museum, it is alive, a village where history breathes, where walls hold stories, and where beauty lingers quietly, waiting for those who choose to listen. Reaching to our village felt like arriving at the edge of the world. Wooden log houses rested quietly in a valley, framed by forests and mountains dusted with silver light. The people here, the Tuvans, are descendants of ancient nomads. Their traditions linger in songs carried by the wind, in the smoke rising from chimneys, in stories told around fire. I walked the dirt paths, where horses grazed lazily and children chased each other in the cool air. It was simple, yet it felt untouched, as if time barely moved here. Beyond the village, the Karnas River shimmered turquoise, its waters as clear as glass. Locals believe spirits guard the valley, protecting their herds, their homes, their lives. When the sun dipped, the mountains blushed in shades of gold and violet. Smoke curled from cabins, blending into the mist. It felt like a painting, too perfect to leave. The silence here was different, not empty, but sacred. A silence that holds centuries of survival, resilience, and harmony with land that both nourishes and challenges. Getting to Yubeng isn't easy. The road vanishes, and the only way forward is a winding trail on foot or horseback. Each step feels like leaving the modern world behind. By the time I arrived, surrounded by towering peaks, it was clear. Yubeng isn't just a village, it's a sanctuary, hidden in the shadow of Meili Snow Mountain. The Tibetan families here live quietly, their wooden homes framed by prayer flags that flutter endlessly in the mountain wind. Every color seems to whisper a blessing to the sky. Locals believe the mountain is sacred, a place where gods and humans still meet. Pilgrims travel from far away, drawn not by luxury, but by faith and silence. The air was so clean, it almost stung my lungs. The streams so pure, they reflected the heavens. It felt like walking through a dream, too fragile for words. At night, the stars drowned the sky, brighter than I'd ever seen. The entire village seemed to sleep under their watch, untouched, eternal, a secret the mountains still keep. At night, the stars drowned the sky, brighter than I'd ever seen. The entire village seemed to sleep under their watch, untouched, eternal, a secret the mountains still keep. When I first walked into Jianshui, I felt its age immediately. This was not a village lost in time. It was a living memory, carved into every stone and street. The Chaoyang Gate towered ahead, weathered yet proud. Passing beneath it, I felt like I was stepping into a world where dynasties still linger, their stories etched in faded bricks. In the heart of the town, the Confucian temple spread wide and quiet. Ancient cypress trees whispered in the wind, as though carrying lessons spoken centuries ago, still waiting to be heard. I wandered through Zhu Family Garden, a sprawling courtyard labyrinth. Ornamental windows framed still ponds, and shadows danced across carved wooden beams, giving the sense that the past had never truly left. Every alley held secrets. Clay-tiled houses leaned close together. Red lanterns swayed gently above me, and the smell of tofu grilling in the open air reminded me this was still home to many. Jianshui is a reminder that history doesn't always fade. Sometimes it lingers, alive in every courtyard, every archway, every quiet echo of footsteps on its ancient roads. As my journey through China's hidden villages comes to an end, I can't help but feel I've only scratched the surface. These places hold more than beauty. They hold secrets. Each village I walked through carried its own rhythm. Some whispered of dynasties long gone, others of traditions still alive. Together, they remind me that history never truly disappears. What struck me most was not just their architecture or landscapes, but their silence, a silence that tells stories without words, stories of people, resilience, and forgotten ways of life. Looking back, I realize these hidden places aren't just about escape. They're about discovery, a chance to see the world differently, not as it is, but as it was. The world is vast, and its mysteries endless, and sometimes the most extraordinary places aren't on any map. They're hidden, waiting until you choose to find them.